So when you hear the name Jim Morrison, what immediately pops into your head? For decades now, mainstream pop culture has painted this very specific and honestly very loud picture of him. You know the one. The leather pants, the arrests, the chaotic rock star who tragically burned out at 27. We basically see this drunken hedonist. But what if I told you that caricature completely overshadows the brilliant, highly educated, philosophically driven artist he actually was? Today we're going to challenge absolutely everything you thought you knew. Welcome to our explainer on deconstructing the Lizard King. Our goal here is pretty simple. We are going to strip away those superficial Hollywood myths and uncover the dense, frankly fascinating truth of who Jim Morrison actually was. By looking closely at his academic background, his poetry, and his wild blending of ancient anthropology with modern rock, we'll uncover a man who was literally trying to wake up a sleeping culture. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the Hollywood myth. Second, Morrison as a serious American poet. Third, the philosophies of the Doors. Fourth, the self-made shaman. And finally, legacy, shaman, or showman. Section 1. The Hollywood myth. Fiction versus reality. Now, there is a massive, stark contrast between fiction and historical fact here. If you've ever seen Oliver Stone's famous 1991 movie about the Doors, you probably remember Jim dropping out of film school, violently setting his girlfriend Pamela's closet on fire, or, throwing that chaotic Thanksgiving fit. But here's the thing. According to his actual biographers and bandmates, Morrison actually graduated from UCLA's rigorous film school. The closet fire incident, 100% fabricated, totally made up. And that ugly Thanksgiving scene never happened. Honestly, much of what we think we know is essentially just Hollywood fan fiction, designed to sell a darker, crazier narrative. And that Hollywood narrative, it was incredibly damaging.
Name, occupation.
Jim.
Just listen to this scathing quote directly from The Doors' legendary keyboardist Ray Manzarek. He stated that the film portrayed his friend as a violent, drunken fool, going so far as to say Oliver Stone literally assassinated Jim Morrison's character. Wow. Manzarek pointed out that Morrison was actually this highly intelligent, loving guy who deeply believed in freedom. So to find that man, we have to look past the movie screen and dig straight into his notebooks. Section 2. A serious American poet. Let's look at his literary roots. Morrison's literary lineage is incredibly rich. He didn't just stumble into a recording studio and start writing lyrics, right? He was deeply influenced by Beat Generation writers like Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg, the French symbolists, and the American prophecy tradition pioneered by Walt Whitman. In fact, Morrison viewed himself as a direct part of this prophetic tradition.
How's that different from how you write a poem?
It's very similar. I think a lot of poetry is very close to music, except when you write a poem, often you have to be in a state of mind that music can put you in with its hypnotic quality. That leaves you free to just let the subconscious play itself out wherever it goes.
He saw the poet's function as a tool to completely interrupt our ordinary, everyday consciousness. He wanted to shake people up and wake them up using highly charged language. So the crucial point here is understanding how he thought a poet should actually achieve this awakening. The 19th century French symbolist Arthur Rimbaud wrote that a poet becomes a seer through a rational derangement of all the senses. Morrison read Rimbaud religiously. So when you look back at Morrison's legendary excesses, the drugs, the heavy alcohol, the wild, unpredictable behavior, it wasn't just mindless partying for the sake of it. In his mind, he was applying this precise literary philosophy. He was actively trying to exhaust all poisons within himself to reach the unknown and then bring those visions back for his audience. And you can see that exact philosophy bleeding directly into Morrison's own work. Just look at this. Let's reinvent the gods, celebrate symbols from deep elder forests. He took that 19th century European desire to smash boundaries and applied it straight to 1960s America. He recognized that modern society felt dead, totally disconnected, and he wanted his poetry to serve as the new myth, a new ritual to heal that massive cultural disconnection. Moving on to Section 3. Philosophies of the Doors and Academic Theory. I mean, it becomes pretty clear that this isn't your average pop music. Morrison anchored his work in some really dense concepts from distinct literary heroes. From the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, he adopted the Apollonian-Dionysian duality, which is basically the eternal struggle between logical order and chaotic, passionate life force. From the playwright Antonin Artaud, he took the theater of cruelty, using shock and surrealism to just shatter the audience's complacency. From Aldous Huxley, he took the concept of cleansing the doors of perception, which, literally gave the band its name. And of course, Rimbaud's derangement of the senses. He took all this heavy academic theory and translated it into accessible, hypnotic rock music. It's brilliant. Now, this stark comparison really highlights why Morrison often felt like an outsider, even in his own era. Think about it. The 1960s hippie counterculture was all about enlightenment, peace, love, and returning to a sunny, Edenic state. But Morrison completely rejected that naive idealism. Actually, as the Doors drummer John Densmore noted, Morrison sought the opposite, endarkenment. He firmly believed that to truly abolish the ego and find real truth, you had to explore the ancient, dark, and sometimes terrifying aspects of human nature. He certainly wasn't handing out flowers. He was pointing us right into the abyss. Section 4, The Self-Made Shaman, Bringing Anthropology into Rock. Before looking directly at Morrison's actions, we need to ground the concept itself. What is a shaman? Well, it's a figure who enters a state of transcendence to communicate with the spirit world, influence nature, and heal diseases within their community. Anthropologists study this in indigenous cultures all over the globe. But remember, Morrison actually studied anthropology at UCLA, so he understood exactly what this role meant, and he made a conscious decision to inhabit this exact figure for modern America.
But it wasn't just some academic exercise for him. It was deeply, deeply personal. Look at this foundational anecdote. During a childhood road trip in the desert, Morrison and his family drove past a horrific car crash involving Native Americans. Morrison genuinely believed, for the rest of his entire life, that the souls of those dying Native Americans leapt through the air and entered his own soul. This was his calling. It permanently cemented his private, self-mythologized identity as a spiritual vessel.
So how exactly did he apply this? Well, Morrison essentially warped traditional shamanism into his own urban version. To him, a Doors concert wasn't just a musical gig. He viewed it as a modern healing seance. He utilized these intense, trance-inducing, native-inspired dances on stage, trying to push both himself and the audience into pure ecstasy. He even invoked animal spirit guides, famously dubbing himself the Lizard King. He was literally using the sheer chaos of a rock concert as his ritualistic tool to heal a disconnected, hyper-commercialized society.
Finally, Section 5, Legacy. Was he a shaman or a showman? Let's look at that ultimate tension. What's truly fascinating here is Morrison's own self-awareness. He once said he was a natural leader, a poet, a shaman, with the soul of a clown. He knew exactly what he was doing. He deeply felt the exhausting contradiction of being a serious spiritual artist who was, at the end of the day, trapped inside the giant commercial machine of show business. He was trying to deliver deep philosophical endarkenment to teenagers who, let's be honest, mostly just wanted a catchy pop song. He was a shaman charging admission, and that irony definitely wasn't lost on him. So we have to ask, did the myth Morrison created ultimately consume the poet? He manufactured this wild persona of danger, excess, and shamanic transcendence. But playing the Dionysian madman takes a serious toll, and at age 27 in Paris, the line between the performance and the reality seemingly vanished forever. Jim Morrison wasn't just a drunken hedonist, and he absolutely wasn't just a pop idol. He was a visionary who intentionally pushed the boundaries of art, literature, and sanity itself. The next time you hear a Doors song, ask yourself, are you just listening to the music, or are you stepping into the seance? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what you think you know.
Jim, what do young people worship today? What do they believe? What do they hang on to? What do they hope for?
I can't speak for young people, but probably a guess would be the same things they've always celebrated, just kind of a joy of existence, self-discovery, freedom, that kind of thing.
Well, there's always been a generation gap in every age, but the gap now seems to be much more of a definite cleavage. The young people today seem to feel and think differently. What do you think has brought this about?
So-called generation gap could be a result of larger numbers of young people. I think it happened after World War II. I think it's something like over half the population of the United States now is under 18 years of age, something like that.
Politically and philosophically, the young people now seem to feel very definite ideas about the establishment, old systems of governing people, and moral attitudes.
Yeah. When I was in high school and college, the kind of protest that's going on now was totally unheard of. At that time, to be a teenager, to be young, was really nothing. It was kind of a limbo state. And I think it's amazing, just in the last 5 years, what's happened is young people have come increasingly aware of the power and the influence that they have as a group. It's really amazing.
Does it surprise you that there is so much revolt on the campuses of this country against Washington and its policies?
It really surprises me because, as I said before, when I was growing up and when I was in school, it was that was totally unheard of. You know, students really had no power. But if you look back in history, it seems to bear out the fact that every revolution has started with students and spread to workers, and I'm not predicting there's going to be a drastic turnover in this country, but all the indications are there.
Life does seem to become more and more involved and complex. You know, we're becoming computerized and dehumanized in that process. That bugs me. I wonder how it bothers you and your generation.
There does seem to be a trend toward a return to a kind of primitive outlook on life, a more tribal attitude, and I think it's a natural reaction to industrialization, but unfortunately it's kind of naive, because I think the future is going to become increasingly mechanized, computerized, as you call it, and I don't think there's any turning back. It's just figuring out a way to survive and thrive in that kind of society. I don't think there's any chance of going back. Look at it this way too. The hippie lifestyle is really a middle class phenomena, and it could not exist in any other society except ours, where there's such an incredible surfeit of goods, products, and leisure time. I think that's the reason for it, because the generations immediately preceding ours had world wars and depressions to contend with, and for the last 10 or 15 years in this country, there's time enough and there's money enough to live kind of a flagrant, outrageous lifestyle, which was impossible before.